Hey, this is Rustin Rose with Metalholic Magazine and Mojo Radio, and I'm fortunate to be here today with the lovely and talented Marcela Bovio. How are you today?
I am doing great, thank you.
Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, that was perfect.
Oh, good. So, obviously, I want to talk about the new record, Darker Days, but first, a lot of people, particularly here in the U.S., are still unfamiliar with Stream of Passion. Can you give us a little bit of a background on the band? Because it's an interesting story.
It is actually. I'm not sure if you all know it, but I'm actually from Mexico. I've been living in Holland for a few years now, but a few years ago, Arjen Lucassen, the creator of the rock opera Arion, invited me to come over to Holland, because he's Dutch, of course, and he invited me to sing on one of his records. And we had a great chemistry in the studio, and we just had a very good click. So he invited me to make a CD together with the two of us, write stuff together, and that's basically how Stream of Passion first came to exist, as a project of he and I together. Then we recruited musicians from basically different parts of the globe, and we started touring, and the whole experience was so amazing, and the people liked it so much that later on, even if Arjen decided to go on with other projects, me and the rest of the guys just continued with the band. And right now, okay, let's see, it's 2011, so Stream of Passion already exists for 6 years. And we're about to release our third album, and it's been a very wild ride, but we've enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, the story I heard was you actually won a contest on Arjen's website. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I left out that part. Indeed, it all started from that contest, indeed, that he made, because he wanted to give someone not very known the chance to sing that part on his Arion record. And I had a band back then in Mexico, and I just sent him a CD, I, of course, not really expecting anything, and then a couple of weeks later, I got an email from him like, I loved your music, I loved your voice, and I really want to invite you to sing some new ideas of mine, see how it works out. And eventually he ended up picking me for it. And you can imagine this little girl back in Mexico being a fan of his music for years and years, and then suddenly getting this call. It was like, whoa, unbelievable.
Well, and he actually sort of built Stream of Passion as a vehicle for your voice and your songwriting, did he not?
Yeah, that's true, and that was, of course, also very flattering for me, because for that Arion, for the Human Equation, which is a CD that I recorded also in from Arion, I also suggested a few ideas here and there, like a few little melodies, and he really liked that as well. So basically how we did it for the first Stream of Passion album was that he recorded very basic song ideas on the acoustic guitar, and then he would just send them to me, and I did whatever I wanted with the vocals on top of them, and he basically created the sound based on all those ideas that I had. So it was a very big responsibility, and I have to say I was very nervous in the beginning, but he really liked it, and it worked out really well, so it was really cool.
So I hear you are getting ready to release number 3 now, and Arjen stepped aside, which was sort of planned all along. Is that so he can continue on with other projects, or because he built this as your baby to begin with, or?
It was kind of both, I think. He was never planning on making this, of making Stream of Passion his full-time band, because, he's a man of many projects and many interests, and he's never able to make the exact same album afterwards. He really has to keep changing, and I totally respect that. And I think it's awesome that, that he just basically built everything and planned everything so it would revolve more around me, so that we could continue with the band when he left. So, no, that was really cool.
Well, you are up to the third album, as we said. The new album, Darker Days, is soon to be released. I think the 24th in Europe, the 5th here in America. Now that it's done and you've had a chance to breathe a little bit, how are you feeling about the finished result?
I'm very, very happy. Of course, When we were releasing our previous album, The Flame Within, it was the first album that we did without Arjen. That meant that I had way more responsibility on the songwriting and putting everything together. And, it was very exciting to see what kind of reactions we were going to get from the fans and from critics and stuff. But now, with Darker Days, we already had the chance to grow a lot as a band, with the new lineup, and grow as songwriters and just make that connection between us even better. So we were able to do a lot of stuff, experiment more and just explore, and broaden our musical horizons, which is something that we were really looking forward to. So we're really happy with the end result. It took a lot of time and a lot of soul searching to find that sound that we were looking for, but thankfully, at the end, everything came out exactly the way we wanted it, and it feels great. Now we're just waiting for the day for the CD to be released and be able to share it with the audience, because we're really excited about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of diversity in the sound this time around, I think. Is that what you were going for?
Yeah, definitely. We really. We really are trying to find the things that make us unique and try to find our own sound, in this genre, because it's really fast, and in Holland especially there are a lot of bands in the genre, the whole female fronted metal thing is huge over here. So we're really trying to explore different music styles and different genres and just incorporate as many different influences as we can into our music. And I think we really achieved it. There are a little bit more of a modern metal influences in there, a little prog influences, and even some Latin things here and there, which is something that I'm really proud of, and I really wanted to try out. So yeah, that's definitely something that we were looking into doing.
Well, I was going to say, that's the one thing that you have that a lot of those bands over there in the Netherlands don't have, is you're from Mexico, so you've got that Latin influence that you bring into the music.
Yeah, exactly, and I think it's something that it's not, it's been done in the past. There's, of course, a whole metal Latino. There's a scene that has been going on for years, but I think specifically in the kind of more symphonic metal that we're doing, it's not something that's been very done. And it's great, to me, it's been also a way to kind of keep in contact with my roots now that I've been living for almost 3 years away from Mexico, and then, I do miss my home country and all the things over there and how the people are. So that was kind of a little way for me to stay true to where I come from, so to say.
Right. Well, and you use the bandoneon quite a bit on this record. Now, first off, who in the band actually plays the bandoneon?
Well, no one. It's actually an Argentinian instrument, so I don't think it's not really common to find musicians that can play it over here. But fortunately, we found someone that did, and he played it beautifully. Here, this is his name. It's a session musician that joined us for the album recordings, and it was just incredible to find him, and because he was just able to play everything that we asked him to, and he really used the instrument and got the sound, that really true Argentinian tango sound that I was looking for those songs. So it's really cool. It was amazing.
Well, it's funny too, because you guys used it on the opening track, "Lost." Now, I'm of Italian heritage, so for me it brings more of an Italian flavor to the track as it does on the song "Spark." But I believe it was actually Italian immigrants that first brought the instrument to South and Latin America to begin with, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think the more you look into all of those musical roots, the more you explore those genres and indeed in history how all those connections were made. I think it's really beautiful to discover all those tiny things, it was really funny because I met also a sound engineer here in Holland who I think last year, he just basically started to explain like how the accordion came all the way from Germany to the north of Mexico, like where I come from, and a lot of the folk music over there is also done with a lot of accordion. And I had no idea, the whole story behind it, how German engineers came over to work on some railroads over there, and then they brought the accordion with them, and that's how the whole like scene started over there with that instrument. So I think it's really beautiful to discover all those things and kind of like find out those things that we have in common and those bonds that we have, through music. I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it was like the German engineers would come over there, and then the Italian seasonal workers came over, and then they share, because music is that common language that we all bring together. So,
yeah, I think it's awesome.
So now you were living in Mexico and moved to Holland, like you said, about 3 years ago to be closer to the band. And I believe the album's title, Darker Days, has its roots in that life change. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it definitely has to do with that as well. Well, I've lived in the north of Mexico all my life until I came to live here in Holland, and I have to say I was totally surprised about the way the winter, it has such a big impact on your mood. Where I come from, basically, the weather is mostly sunny and warm all the time. And here, because we're so much further away from the equator now, the days get really short in the winter, so the nights are excruciatingly long. And of course, it gets way colder. And we've been, last year, I think it was, we've been covered in snow for like 2 full months. And in the beginning, it's pretty, for someone who hasn't seen all that much snow in her life. But at some point I was, pretty much fed up with it, the snow and the traffic jams that come with it. And basically I had no idea that those gray winter days would have such a big impact on the way that I felt. And that also reflected on the kind of music that I was writing. I had the idea that everything was a little bit darker and a little bit doomier, maybe. So that kind of like also fired up other themes and other ideas, and that's basically a very big part of the core of the inspiration that's behind the album.
Right. Yeah, because you lived in Monterey, I believe. I know it's got to be hard for you watching the news back home. I believe that even inspired the song "Reborn" on the album.
Yeah, it definitely it's definitely hard, and especially because as the time goes by, I feel everything gets closer and closer to the people that I know and the places that I've been to. Like I now hear very specific stuff about like my favorite pub back there, that there's been, like shooting and some people got killed in there. And it's something that I could not just let it go and not say anything about it. It's really close to me and the people that I care about. So I really had to say something about it, because, even if it doesn't really make all that much difference in everything that's going on, I do hope that it could maybe like fire up an idea of, like things can change, and after this whole storm there should be a time of peace, whether it's on the long term or the short term.